But I was thinking about that though. I mean, can we play? Well, we have some clips. We have the Corona vaccine clip, but we also have the trailer for the 2017 special. And I was thinking about that, like America number one mindset.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I got to tell you, I feel like in some of the circles we're in, we actually have to do a job where it's nowhere big a problem as America number one, but we actually have to do like a corrective with, America always evil, America the worst thing ever, versus like America like everywhere else, pretty fucking complicated.
Yeah.
But, and that's one of the reasons, I love Cornel West so much. Like this is an empire from its inception, but it's also this valiant democratic effort at the same time. And we're actually in the middle of that battle. That's a much more inspiring, dynamic way of looking at where we're at. But you really do get that, like when you go across the crowd and where anybody could say it does not matter where they are from, you do have that American, like, I know very little. I probably have a little piece of folk wisdom about where you're from, and I'm just going to extrapolate.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm satirizing. I mean,
it's awesome. It's hilarious.
I first started touring overseas about 10 years ago. And I remember and I've always been interested in, human rights and internationally how things are different in different cultures and different places. But when I started traveling overseas and doing shows, it really opened things up to me. And it really opened things up to me about the general American identity of this idea that we're number one. And many other countries don't have that. Some do, but many don't. Like when I've done shows in England, I never got that vibe. I always got the feeling England is just waiting for the disappointment to happen. They don't know when it's going to happen, but they're just waiting. Even when it comes to sports, soccer, football, they know they're going to get their hearts broken. When it's going to happen. And when we're like, we're just the best, and if we're not good at a certain sport, that sport sucks, or that sport's for foreigners. That's the basic general America. I mean, it's getting better in this country, obviously, but that's the way it's been for so long. But so I try to learn as much as I can when I, not just when I'm home in the U.S., but when I go to other places within the U.S. and when I go overseas. So I really try to learn a lot about the other places, because it's, when you learn more about other places, you're also learning more about your own place,
I have to say, I mean, I'll give you something that I thought was kind of funny, and then I'll ask. I'm sure you've been asked this question a million times, but it does interest me. So fuck it, I'll ask it again.
Yeah.
What is it like? I mean, what isn't? I mean, England makes sense, but I mean, have you done stand up in Asia or Africa or Latin America? What does it? How does it track depending on where you're at?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. A lot of international audiences, I find a lot of them like my act a lot, and it's because I think sometimes I see America, more from an outsider perspective and not just buying all the propaganda. So, and I also, I try to learn as much as I can about their country, so they appreciate that. Even when I'm doing shows in New York, the audiences in New York for the most part are it's mostly people from other places in this country and throughout the world. And no, I haven't done. I was lining up shows in Asia several years ago, and then I wasn't able to do it. Same with Australia. The promoter messed up my work visa, so the shows had to.
That's what they're like there.
And then, I was just going to be booking shows in Mexico, and I was going to be doing shows this year in Argentina and maybe Chile, but I've had to, postpone everything. But I've done. I don't know. I've done 5 cities in Sweden. I've done a couple cities in Norway, Scotland, Ireland, Romania, Portugal, 3 cities in Italy. I'm forgetting other countries, but I try to get out there as much as I can. Because I first of all, it's challenging going to other countries when English isn't someone's first language. And I also learn and grow as a performer and a person. I think traveling is very important. And I like doing the regular things. I don't do a lot of the tourist stuff. I like to get on their subways, get on their buses, go to the grocery store, go to the pharmacy, and just see like what everyday life is, and then talk to people. Yeah. When I was in Romania, I learned a lot there. I mean, that's a country, from the people I talk to, have almost no hope in government. I mean, they've been screwed over so much for so long by so many different, parties that they almost have no hope, but it was interesting. I was trying to find a laundromat there because I was there for a couple weeks and I was trying to wash my clothes, and I found one, and it was run by 2 college students, and there's no one in there. It was all done through an app on your phone that opens the door for you. And then the machines were all done by the app. It was like from the future. It was like nice, and it was better than any laundromat I've ever been to in the US. And so I was like, wow, it's like, this is a country that they don't have any highways. They have a lot of problems, and great country, love it, but the government, they've had a lot of corruption.
What ranking are they in Europe?
Pretty high in my book.
Yeah. Okay. I want to play the ad in a second.
They're like the Bronx of Europe.
That's high.
We're talking power, we're talking passion, and amazing food. I had one of the best cheeseburgers I've ever had in my life there. It was
that makes sense. The place that I need to go to many more places, but the place that I've been to that actually has the closest to like in America, we're number one, and also like we're always number one, and things that actually everybody would probably get, you can't get because we are the only ones who get it. The closest, and I studied in this place, is Turkey. Oh, it really is like amazing. Like I remember one time I was joking with somebody about this, like listening to this. We were talking with this Turkish person about Ataturk. And absolutely, like Ataturk is actually, I wonder now what it would be like 10 years later as things have kind of accelerated in some changes there. But yes, Ataturk's a super big deal, no doubt. But she just kept saying, she's like, it's like a guy who found the country, and we love him and we respect him, but we also look at him as a founding father. You wouldn't understand that. And we're sitting there like we fucking republish books about the same handful of men every year. Yeah. And it's like the new Airport Lounge bestseller is how John Adams was the best lovemaker in the colonial era or whatever. And just with the most sincere, not I understand you have those people, but this is how it's different. Or yes, but that's a couple hundred years ago and this is more modern. Just you just can't. You can't get it. And we're sitting there you pick the closest one-to-one that we could possibly get.
Right. But yeah, no, it's interesting because, both of the main parties have their own propaganda, but often they have the same propaganda. And that was I used to do a bit on it. I might start doing it again, where I used to talk about, from the time we're little kids in this country, we're taught that we're the best. Yep. Not the best country, but the best in the history of the world. That's you hear it on the mainstream media, you hear it from both political parties. And then when we're having an election, they would always say, this is very important, we're electing the leader of the free world. And I always wondered, how come we're the only country that gets to vote for the leader of the free world? And it must be because we're number one. I mean, the other countries obviously just haven't done well enough to deserve the right to vote for the leader of the free world. So,
Romania.
Yeah, Romania, Sweden, they really got to step it up if they want to vote for the leader, So that thing that, there's all different types of propaganda, and you can make the argument that everything is propaganda, but so that, thematically, in my stand-up act, I'm sad, through jokes, through a lot of one-liners, through crowd work, I satirize, the myth of American exceptionalism, and basically as a nation, and how our government oppresses us, and how we respond to all the human rights issues, So I don't always refer to that as political. You can if you want, but because I don't talk about, oh, what did this politician say and how's that going to affect them in their ratings or whatever. I just
that always that always struck me as weird. I want to play an ad from some of your special in a second, but like that you would hear political comedians were either the greats, like they said, Richard Pryor or something, like, yes, because politics is about all of the big things that we deal with and people are satirizing it. Or it's like, that's the guy on PBS who does that, that really, he just nailed the Trent Lott impression.
Right.
But it's all political comedy. Like there's it's just like, yeah, those are just the people that talk about that shit, man.
Right. I mean, when I first started, I was 19 when I started doing stand-up.
Oh, wow.
And when I first started, I did do some political jokes, but they were at the time, more like your TV monologue jokes, where they were just kind of superficial. And then for years, I stopped doing them because I'm like, well, there's an expiration date on all those jokes, But then when I started really satirizing and dealing with, big human rights issues, unfortunately, most of that stuff does not have an expiration date on it. If I'm doing a bit about human rights to healthcare in this country, unfortunately, that would be great if those jokes had an expiration date because we've progressed on healthcare, but we haven't. So they're currently timeless.
Bernie was trying to kill your set, but he couldn't do it.
I actually thought of that for a second. I'm like, come on. And the whole country really leans, in a more socialist direction. That's going to, but it's, those are, I get all kinds of thoughts in my head, but it's, it's just, I know so many people are upset and, critical of his campaign and stuff like that, but, trying to do what he did, trying to do what people are doing, it's one of the hardest things there is, and so I just want to, I'm no expert, but I just want to say to people, it's like, don't give up, because it's, governments look at history, look at the history of the world. How often, what percentage of the time has any country or any part of the world had governments that were really there helping people? It's one of the hardest things to do. So it's, I'm sure there were mistakes made and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm not a political expert, but it's one of the hardest fucking things to do is to overtake oppression. So,
right.
You got to just, keep fighting, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what Cornel West said to us last week.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. He said, it's fucking hard and you got to go for it.
Yeah. I mean,
that was the verbatim quote.
That's so cool. You had him on the show. I'm a huge fan of his. I remember the first time, I would see him on TV and stuff, but I didn't read one of his books until, I don't know, it's probably like 8 or 9 years ago. I read Hope on a Tightrope, and I was just like, it's a short little book, but it's like, man, it's just, there's just so much great stuff in it. He's great.
He's amazing. No, it was an honor.
You just watched a Michael Brooks show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.